Pele. His name's Pele. They're called the shoeless ones.
The film begins by showing the upcoming 1958 FIFA World Cup match between Brazil and the USSR. The stadium is packed with cheering fans, but the commentators only criticize Brazil's style of play. At the same time, the scene moves to Brazil's locker room, where the youngest player in World Cup history, Pele, is introduced. The story then jumps back 8 years earlier. A group of kids working as shoe shiners dream of playing football. Because of their poor living conditions, they don't have a real ball, so they steal old clothes from the neighborhood and stuff them into socks to create one. With their homemade ball, they start playing by tossing it across rooftops, careful not to let it touch the ground. Later, one of the boys, Deco, comes home dirty from playing and gets scolded by his mother. In the following scene, Deco's father and some other men are sitting in a restaurant listening to a live football broadcast. It's the 1950 FIFA World Cup final between Brazil and Uruguay, and everyone is hoping for a Brazilian victory. The children, curious about the match, climb onto the restaurant's broken roof to hear the news. But Brazil loses the game, and Deco's father breaks down in tears. Seeing this, Deco makes a promise. One day,
I'll win a World Cup for Brazil by...
he will win the World Cup for Brazil.
I promise.
The next morning, Deco's mother takes him along to her job, cleaning the floors of a large mansion. She tells him that his father once had a football career, but it ended because of an injury. That's why she doesn't want Deco to follow the same path. As she leaves the kitchen,
Yeah, the final.
Valdemar do Brito? The Scouts?
a group of wealthy boys enter, chatting about different football players. Deco tries to join the rich boys' conversation and mentions the name of a local footballer, Pele.
I'll be like Pele.
But he mispronounces it,
Pele.
and the boys burst into laughter, mocking him by repeating the name. From that moment, they start calling him Pele as a joke. Just then, Deco's mother comes back and tells him to apologize to the boys, even though he did nothing wrong. Before leaving, Deco quickly snatches a newspaper they had brought, which talks about a football tournament. Soon after, Deco and his friends sign up for the same tournament. They may look poor and lack proper uniforms, but their skills amaze everyone.
That's the match.
And they beat nearly every team they face. Eventually, they make it all the way to the finals, where they must play against the same group of boys who mocked Deco at his mother's workplace. These opponents are older, have real football gear, and immediately start taunting Deco's team, calling them the Shoeless Boys because they play without boots. Stung by the insults, Deco and his friends decide they need shoes for the final match, no matter what it takes. Later, the group comes up with a plan. They will steal peanuts and sell them in the market to buy second-hand boots. During the theft, the seller spots them and gives chase, but the boys manage to escape. At the marketplace, while they're trying to sell the peanuts, their rival team shows up again, mocking and insulting them. This time, Deco loses his temper and punches the leader, sparking a fight between the two groups. When Deco returns home with bruises, his mother questions him. He lies, saying his teacher hit him. His father, overhearing, steps in and tells him not to worry. He'll speak with the teacher the following day once his mother is out of the room. On the way to work, Deco's father tells him that he already knows about the fight and the football match. Instead of scolding him, he advises Deco to control his emotions and answer his opponents with skill, not anger. Hearing this and realizing his father supports him, Deco feels happy and motivated. Finally, the day of the big match arrives. The crowd cheers loudly for the wealthy boys, while at the same time mocking Deco by shouting the nickname Pele. Deco and his friends have managed to get football boots, but they are far too large for their feet. Still, they wear them, even though the shoes make them slow and clumsy. Taking advantage of this, the rival team scores goal after goal, quickly raising the score to 6-0. Deco and his teammates feel hopeless and angry at the other team's rough play. Enraged, Deco almost lashes out, but when he spots his father watching from the stands, he stops himself. Instead, he decides to take off the uncomfortable boots and play the way they always did on the streets. With his natural style, Deco weaves through the defenders and scores his team's first goal, leaving the crowd in awe. Inspired, all of his teammates remove their oversized boots as well and return to their usual way of playing. From that moment, the match changes completely. Deco's team dominates the field, dribbling past the opponents and scoring one goal after another until the score narrows to 6-5. Despite their comeback, they ultimately lose the match, but the audience is amazed by their performance and begins chanting the name Pele. Right after the game, the peanut seller and his men, the ones the boys stole from, spot them and give chase. The kids run into the forest to escape. During the chase, one of Deco's friends trips on a branch and falls. Deco, now called Pele, refuses to leave him behind. He helps his friend up and hides with him inside a small hole in the ground. Suddenly, rain begins to pour, triggering a landslide. One of Pele's friends is buried under the mud and tragically dies. Heartbroken, Pele returns home and breaks down in front of his mother, blaming himself for the loss. The next day, Pele's father takes him along to work, hoping to lift his spirits and distract him from the tragedy. He tries to cheer his son up by juggling mangoes and showing off a few playful tricks. At first, Pele refuses to join in, still filled with grief. But after some time, he begins practicing with his father, using mangoes as makeshift balls. Years pass, and by the time Pele turns 15, his passion for football hasn't faded. His mother notices him training with his father and finally agrees to invite a football scout, Waldemar de Brito, to watch him play. When Pele comes home one day, he's delighted to find de Brito waiting for him. The scout suggests that Pele try out for the local club's trials. In the next scenes, Pele begins training professionally with Santos Football Club. At first, he struggles. His style doesn't fit the traditional techniques, and he finds it hard to adapt. Frustrated by his poor performance, he decides to give up and return home. At the train station, Waldemar de Brito finds him and asks why he wants to leave. Pele explains that his unique way of playing isn't welcomed at the academy and that the coach disapproves of him. De Brito then tells him that his style is known as ginga, a form of football rooted in the times of slavery. He admits Pele plays his best in this style, but also reminds him that many blamed ginga for Brazil's devastating World Cup loss in 1950. Finally, De Brito challenges him. He can either stay and prove his talent to the world or go home as a coward. After De Brito leaves, Pele thinks deeply and decides to stay. The following day, during a match, Pele makes several poor decisions on the field, which frustrates both himself and his coach. In the middle of the match, Pele suddenly recalls the training sessions with his father, juggling mangoes, and spots Waldemar de Brito cheering for him in the stands. Motivated, he decides to trust his own style. He takes the ball, dribbles smoothly between the opponent's legs, flicks it into the air just like he did with mangoes, and sends it straight into the net. The coach is stunned by the unexpected goal and tells Pele to try it again. Pele scores once more, impressing the entire crowd with his unique technique. From that moment on, he keeps playing his way and astonishes everyone, quickly gaining a reputation despite being the youngest member of the squad. Before long, Pele is promoted from the junior team to the professional squad, traveling across the country and competing against teams nationwide. After one trip, he returns home unexpectedly, bringing gifts for his family, including a radio for his father. Together, they tune into the announcement of Brazil's national squad for the 1958 World Cup. Pele doesn't believe he has a chance. He thinks he's far too young. But to his shock, his name is called, and he is officially selected. As he leaves with the national team, his father encourages him to always believe in himself and his style of football. Later, Pele meets his new teammates, who welcome him warmly. But reporters openly mock Brazil's ginga style, claiming it won't work at an international level. Soon after, the national coach summons Pele and warns him not to use ginga, insisting he play the more traditional European way. The next day, Pele tries to follow the coach's instructions but struggles badly. Frustrated, he decides to play in his own style instead, only to get tripped and injure his knee. When the doctor examines him, he delivers heartbreaking news. The injury may rule Pele out of the World Cup. That night, Pele calls his mother and tells her about his injury. Shocked, she still encourages him to stay strong, believe in himself, and take care of his health. The World Cup begins, and Brazil wins its first few matches. But the games are intense and rough, and several players get injured. With no other options left, the coach asks the still injured Pele to step in. Nervous, Pele tries to come up with excuses, but the coach insists that he must play. In the next scene, Pele walks onto the field with his teammates. Before the match starts, the coach reminds him once again to follow the plan and stick to the traditional European style of football. Pele listens and plays as instructed, and Brazil manages to win the game. The semi-final against France soon follows. By halftime, Brazil is trailing 2-1, and the players in the dressing room look exhausted and battered. Feeling discouraged, Pele asks one of his teammates to take his place for the second half, but the teammate refuses, explaining that he isn't in the right mindset to play. He admits he's tired of the rigid European style and urges Pele to play the way they grew up playing, the Ginga style.
At the start of the second half. Today's winner.
When the second half begins, Pele goes back onto the field. After missing a pass, he remembers his teammates' words. Determined, he takes control of the ball, weaving smoothly between opponents and astonishing everyone with his skill. He lifts the ball over the defenders and scores a stunning goal, tying the game. With the crowd roaring, Pele grows more confident. He scores 2 more goals, completing a hat trick and leading Brazil to victory. With this win, Brazil secures its place in the World Cup final. As the final match against Sweden approaches, the Brazilian coach gathers the team for a meeting. He orders them to stick to the traditional European way of playing and even tries to teach them new tactics, suggesting they copy Sweden's formation. During training, however, the players struggle, and there's no improvement. At a joint press conference before the final, the Swedish coach mocks Brazil's style. He confidently claims that if Brazil plays the same way as before, they will lose the final, just like they did in 1950. Angered and embarrassed, Brazil's coach storms out of the conference. That night, Pele calls his father and explains how low the team's morale has fallen. His father advises him to bring the players together, just as he used to do in his childhood games.
You believed in yourself against France.
The next day, Pele challenges his teammates to a playful task: get the ball from the hotel to the nearby lighthouse without letting it touch the ground. At first, the players resist, but eventually they join in. Soon they're laughing, juggling the ball, and working together. Watching this, the coach realizes he's been wrong. Later, he gathers the team, admits his mistake, and tells them to forget the rigid formations. Instead, he encourages them to embrace Ginga, the true Brazilian way of football. He urges them to enjoy the game and show the world their own style. Finally, the day of the World Cup final arrives. The stadium is packed and both teams are ready.
And there's
The whistle blows, and within just 4 minutes, Sweden scores a goal. The Brazilian supporters are left stunned as the Swedish players celebrate. At first, Pele struggles to stop the Swedish defenders, but soon the Brazilian team regains its rhythm. Pele provides an assist that leads to Brazil's first goal. From there, the team's confidence grows, and they begin scoring one after another, with Pele also finding the back of the net. When the final whistle blows, the scoreboard reads 5-2. Brazil has won the World Cup for the very first time in history. Overjoyed, Pele's teammates rush onto the field and hoist him onto their shoulders in celebration. The scene then shifts to real-life footage of Brazil's victory. In the final moments, we are told that in 1961, Pele was officially declared a national treasure by the Brazilian president. Pele went on to set the world record for the most career goals, became the youngest player ever to score in a World Cup, and remains the only footballer to win 3 FIFA World Cups.